Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Kirsten and I am a coach primarily for Black women. And with my coaching, I help women change their mindset around money. I help them to travel more and I help them to become their most authentic self so that they can live a life that they love. And I also run a freelance writing business. And today I'm going to talk to you about the 5 best destinations, in my opinion, for Black women. These are places that I have been to personally, and I'm excited to share with you why you should go there. So if you're looking for a place to travel to, you need some travel inspiration, this is the video for you. So let's get into it. So the first place that I recommend Black women travel to, or just women in general, but specifically Black women, is Cartagena, Colombia, or Cartagena de Indias, Colombia. I have been there twice, and I know that Cartagena has, I probably don't have the numbers correct, but they have a really large population of African descendants. And so you're going to see a lot of a mixed culture, but the energy and the vibes in Cartagena are so lively, so inviting, that it's just a wonderful place to be, and it's a wonderful place to be a woman and feel free and feel adored. I highly suggest that you take a champeta class. I will link a video on my experience dancing champeta in Cartagena, Colombia, and it's such a very fun, energetic, and sensual dance to learn, and I really recommend everyone try it. Also, if you go to Cartagena de Indias, I suggest, I believe it's Palenque, which was one of the first freed cities in South America or in Colombia, and it has a remarkable story, and the people, the vibes, the story, everything there is so enriching and so enlightening. So I highly suggest that you take that out or check that out. And yeah, it's a really great experience to learn not only just the importance of Black culture, about our hair, about our language, everything. I highly suggest that you check that out. If you want more options of places to go, I actually wrote an article about the same topic, and I will link it in the description. I wrote an article for Black Girl Nerds, and it talks about 10 destinations, I think it's 10, on places to go, and it shares experiences of myself and other women who have been to these. The second place that I recommend Black women travel to is Cuba. So Cuba is just, it's such an interesting place, but it's so rich in culture. Now, the thing is, if you go to Cuba as a woman, you are going to get a lot of attention. You are going to walk down the street and there's going to be catcalls. Men will come up to you and have a conversation with you or want to have a conversation with you. But it's safe and friendly. So if you're a woman that doesn't like a lot of attention and you kind of just want to travel and like blend in, I would suggest that you don't go to Cuba. But if you kind of want to, really immerse yourself in the culture, if you want to, step out of your comfort zone like a lot, then Cuba is definitely the place to go. The people are lively, the people are friendly, there are people that are dancing on the street, the food is rich. Again, Cuba, I think I've mentioned this in previous videos, Cuba is a different country to travel to. So whatever you pack, like whatever you need for your trip, like you have to pack it with you, and you can't expect to get it there because you probably won't find it. And I can do another video on, traveling to Cuba, because it is definitely a different destination, especially if you're coming from the States. But I highly recommend checking out Cuba. The third destination is Mexico. And I know that Mexico, especially with the pandemic, has had an influx of tourism, of tourists, especially from the States. I still recommend it, and because Mexico is such a large state, so you don't have to go to Tulum or Cancun. If you do, that's great. I personally have been to Puerto Vallarta in the Jalisco area, and I took a solo trip there a few years back and absolutely loved it. I felt completely saved. People were always willing to help me, to give me advice, to help me really feel included in the culture. I met friends. I went to different shows. It was a touch. There's always something to do. The beaches are beautiful, and the food obviously is amazing. So I recommend Mexico. Mexico City is on my list of places to go, but I hear positive things about Mexico City. But I encourage you to explore different parts of Mexico. Of course, going to the common tourist spots are great, but there's so much to Mexico than just going to the popular, probably overpopulated spots. The fourth place I recommend going, and I mentioned this in my article as well, is Lisbon, Portugal. I went there right before, or a couple months before the pandemic, so I was very grateful that I actually got to experience Lisbon before everything got locked down, as I'm living in Spain now. So when the pandemic happened, everything closed and I was here in Spain. Lisbon is a really beautiful city with different cultures, with different foods. There's definitely, I mentioned in my article, doing the African tour of Lisbon. It is a great way to understand the history of Black people in Lisbon. Also, too, it's common, a lot of people, and I did this too, they go to Lisbon and they go to Porto. I also love Porto as well. It is very modern. There are different types of restaurants. Like, I would highly suggest going to Lisbon and Porto solely to focus on food. If you're a foodie, if you love eating, those are the two places to go because they just have such a variety of foods and restaurants, and the people are friendly. I highly suggest that you go, and it's safe. I walked around at night and I felt very comfortable. I traveled by myself, but I met friends in Lisbon and Porto, and I also made friends there too. So I highly suggest that if you are a woman and a solo traveler and you're a Black woman, that you check out Lisbon or Porto or both. If you like the information that you are hearing and you want to know more, make sure that you click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you are serious about either traveling solo or moving abroad or just traveling for long term, I do travel consultations around those three topics. So if you've been wanting to move abroad, but maybe you feel overwhelmed on how to get started, if you feel that fear is taking over and you really want to get out there and put yourself out there, but you just don't know how, or you're just terrified to do that, we can do a consultation and also consider coaching to help you create the life that you love through travel and living abroad. And the last country that I'm going to recommend is, or the city, I guess, is Madrid in Spain. So if you don't already know, I am currently living in Spain, and I actually live in the south in the Andalusia region. And so where I live, there aren't that many Black people. And yes, there is racism in Spain. Yes, we have our issues. I love living in Spain though, and I'm going to continue to do so. I recommend Madrid because Madrid is more of a metropolitan city, and there has been an increase in not only Black Americans moving to Madrid, just there's more culture, more variety. There seems to be more of an embrace of Black culture. There's Black groups in Madrid. So I do suggest, I know that Spain kind of, either people love it or they hate it, and there's kind of sometimes no in between. But if Spain has been on your list and you're curious about it, I think that you would really enjoy Madrid, especially if you want like a big city experience. In addition to Madrid, I would also say if you're kind of wanting something different other than the kind of metropolitan, overly concentrated, overpopulated, I mean, not really overly populated, but densely populated city, I would suggest going to one of my favorite cities in Spain, which is Valencia. Valencia is right on the coast. It has beautiful beaches, and again, there's just this diversity and this vibration to Valencia where you feel just like a local. Like you can walk on the street and you kind of just feel like you're naturally a part of the culture. You're naturally, the city has, I think, a way of embracing you. Last time I was there over the summer of 2021, I love that they have so many different parks. They have a part of the city that used to be a river, and then they took out the river and they made it into a park. And it is a beautiful place to relax, to read a book, to do yoga. And one day during one of my trips to the park, I started hearing these drums, and I was like, where are these drums? These like African drums. And I walked and I followed the music, and there was like an African dance class that was happening in the middle of the park, and it was so great. And I got there late, but I was able to jump in and learn a few steps. And then after, we all sat down together and like had lunch, and I met other people, other women from Madrid. I met the two instructors that were from, I want to say Senegal, but I could be wrong, but a part of Africa. And it was great. And it was just a wonderful experience. And I just feel that Valencia has this kind of warm feeling. It's not perfect. None of the cities that I've mentioned are perfect. And I'm not saying that racism doesn't happen in those parts, in the cities that I have mentioned, but from my experience, and the other experience that other women have had that I know, I recommend these experiences, these cities to visit if you are a Black woman. So I hope that everyone enjoyed this video. I always encourage everyone to travel, especially now that things are opening up. Please remember, I'm filming this during the end portion of the pandemic, where the vaccine is available and the travel restrictions are changing, but I still want to encourage people to travel safely, travel responsibly, and travel sustainably. I'm going to probably do another video on traveling sustainably later. But comment below, tell me which destination that I mentioned that you want to travel to, or if there's another destination that you're curious about, leave a comment below, and I would love to know where you're most excited to travel to. And remember that these places are my suggestions based on my experience and my opinion. So you can definitely go there and have an opposite experience, and that is okay. But remember, most importantly, that you can never completely control the circumstances that are happening around you, but you can always control what's happening inside of you. So if you set out to have a positive experience, if you set yourself up to look at the positive side of things, then you're going to have a good experience. And remember, no matter the experience, good, bad, or mediocre, there's always something to learn and appreciate. Ciao for now.